guys, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, Dutchie. Why did I just do that? I don't know. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing different sexualities outside of the Big Four. And you may very well be sitting there questioning what I mean by the Big Four. Generally speaking, when people hear the term sexuality, 4 different things come to mind: straight, gay, lesbian, and bisexual. However, there are actually so many other sexualities that exist. I hope this video can help some of you who may be currently going through the whole questioning stage, or who might be currently struggling with fitting your own identity under a label that doesn't quite fit you. Hopefully this video can provide you with some more information, and then you can determine whether you identify with some of these labels or not. Keeping in mind, you never have to use a label. Labels are there for those who want to use them and want to label themselves, but if you never want to use a label, or you never feel comfortable with a particular label or any, then you never have to. If you want to and do, that's cool. If you don't want to, that's also just as cool. Labels are just a personal preference. Now, a lot of people, myself included, aren't aware of the following sexualities that I am about to discuss because they are not spoken about as frequently. You hear a lot about straight, bi, gay, and lesbian sexualities, but how often do you hear about the next couple that I'm about to discuss? Really not often. There were a few in there when I was doing my research that I'd never heard of before, and I think that is super poor of me, being in the LGBTQ+ community and not aware of the other sexualities that could be around me. So I apologize. I also apologize. I've done all of this research online, so I apologize if any of my definitions are wrong. They have come straight from the internet, but if you believe another term defines it better, or if you want to correct me on a definition, then by all means, please do in the comments. I'm learning to, more often than not, when people start to question their sexuality right at the beginning, they often jump to the Big Four. Am I straight? Am I gay? Am I a lesbian? Am I bi? It's not hard to see why people start questioning with these sexualities first, because they are definitely the 4 most common in mainstream media and just in society in general. But sometimes when an individual starts to question their sexual identity, they struggle with committing to a particular label, as they soon find out that that definition or term or label doesn't actually accurately define their attraction, whether that be romantic attraction or sexual attraction, either or neither. If you're new here, hi, my name is Dutchie. I upload LGBTQ+ content twice a week, and I would absolutely love for you to become part of the best fam on the internet. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell so that you don't miss another upload. And without further ado, let's head on into the video. Okay, now let's dive into asexuality and aromanticism. The first thing I wanted to cover in this video is the fact that, like every other sexuality, asexuality and aromanticism both exist on a spectrum, whereby individuals on one side lack romantic or sexual attraction, and individuals on the other side of the spectrum do experience that sexual and romantic attraction. And there are also sexualities spread out in between, as it is on a spectrum, and I will be defining and discussing all of these today. Okay, so I thought we'd begin with the asexual side of the spectrum. Asexuality, what is it? Asexuality is a sexual orientation, generally described as someone who lacks sexual attraction and sometimes sexual desire. An asexual person doesn't experience sexual attraction to others regardless of gender. So it doesn't matter who it is, an asexual person is not going to be sexually attracted to anyone, regardless of who they are or what they identify as. An asexual person is still able to experience sexual desire, however, it's just not often. Next, we have the term ace. Now, I was under the impression that ace was just like a shortening or a nickname of asexual, which I think for some people it is. However, when researching for this video, I found that ace can actually be used as an umbrella term to describe the asexual end of the spectrum. When being used as an umbrella term, this can include asexuals, demisexuals, and grey sexuals, etc. Now, I have another term that I want to discuss on this end of the asexual spectrum. So we've spoken about lack of sexual attraction, but what about lack of romantic attraction? This is where the term aromantic joins the party. So how do we define an aromantic person? Aromantic individuals don't really experience romantic attraction. They can still experience platonic love for people. However, it's just not as lovey-dovey. That's a pretty clear definition and makes it a lot easier to understand. Now, if we travel all the way to the other end of the spectrum, we have two terms known as allosexual and zsexual, although I think the preferred term is now zsexual because there were a few different issues with the term allosexual. So yeah, zsexual is at the opposite end of the spectrum as asexual. It is where one can experience sexual attraction to a person regardless of the level of relationship with them. So that's people who can go out and have a one-night stand, have sex with someone. There doesn't have to be a relationship or specific attraction to them. They can just have sex with anyone regardless of the relationship or attraction or anything there. And then moving on from zsexual slowly but surely down into the middle of the spectrum, we have a few more identities and labels that I would like to cover. So now we have demisexual and demiromantic. Demisexual is when an individual may have a romantic attraction towards a person, but won't have a sexual attraction until they establish a close connection. In contrast, we have demiromantic, and then in contrast, we have demiromantic, which is where you might experience sexual attraction for someone, but until a close bond has been formed, you won't experience that romantic attraction. Then we kind of move right on into the middle of the spectrum with grey asexuality. Grey asexuality is also known as grey sexuality, grey ace, grey A, or grace. So this is what I have here for the definition of grey asexuality. Grey sexuals typically experience sexual attraction rarely or only under certain conditions, or not sure whether they experience sexual attraction. So yeah, as defined in the definition, if you're grey sexual, you may only very rarely experience sexual attraction, or only under the right circumstances, maybe with a particular someone, or you're just really not sure whether you even have sexual attraction to anyone. I also found out that many grey asexual people consider this an umbrella term itself and can be used for other sexualities such as demisexuality. Because, as discussed before, an individual who identifies as demisexual won't have those feelings of sexual attraction to someone until a romantic bond has been formed, so under a certain circumstance. Some other grey ace individuals also may choose to identify with a gender-specific orientation, as they do occasionally experience sexual attraction. For example, it is possible for someone to identify as both grey sexual and bisexual. These individuals may rarely experience sexual attraction, but when they do, it's only to two or more genders. It's not to everyone. And then we have the opposite, grey aromanticism. Someone who is grey romantic rarely experiences romantic attraction, only under certain circumstances, or are unsure if they even do experience romantic attraction to others. This is also a term that some demiromantics identify with, as that is under the condition of they may feel sexually attracted to someone, but not a romantic one until a bond has been formed. Then we have ace flux. Now there are actually two definitions for this one, so I'll take you through both of them. The first definition is ace flux has a fluctuating orientation that always stays within the ace spectrum. For example, an individual who identifies as ace flux could sometimes identify with the term demisexual, but sometimes identify with asexual. The second definition is that an ace flux individual fluctuates between having lots of sexual attraction, some sexual attraction, and no sexual attraction. So there you go, there's two different definitions of ace flux. And then we move into aroflux, which is on the grey romantic spectrum. Likely fluctuates within the aromantic spectrum, or fluctuates between experiencing lots of romantic attraction, some romantic attraction, or no romantic attraction. And if you're sitting there confused or unsure of what particular attraction you are feeling, then no worries. There are identity labels and terms for you too. This is where qua-sexual and qua-romantic, or WTF sexual or WTF romantic, come into play. These are identity words for when you can't tell the difference between or are confused about what attraction you are feeling. You may or may not be able to tell the difference between sexual and romantic attraction. So these terms are identity words for when you can't tell the difference or are confused about what attraction you are feeling. It is also where you may not be able to tell the difference between sexual and romantic attraction. So WTF romantic is you may not be able to tell the difference between romantic and platonic attraction, and WTF sexual is being unsure of what sexual attraction is. Then we also have acoisexual, also known as lithsexual, which is where you experience sexual attraction without the desire to have that sexual attraction reciprocated by someone else. So you can feel sexually attracted to someone, but you don't want them to be sexually attracted to you. You don't need them to be. You're sexually attracted to them, you're doing your own thing, but it doesn't bother you. The opposing definition to this is acoiromantic or lithromantic, which is where you experience romantic attraction to someone but don't desire that romantic attraction back. And I found out a little fun fact. If you identify as lithsexual or lithromantic, please let me know if this is the case for you. But I did read something interesting that said in both cases, these attractions can often fade once reciprocated. So they genuinely do not want those attractions or, you know, sexual attraction or romantic attraction, they don't want them to be they don't want those feelings to be reciprocated, or those attractions can fade. And then I have two more definitions left. Capiosexual, someone that doesn't have a sexual attraction but still desires a sexual relationship. And in contrast, we have capioromantic or cupioromantic, someone who doesn't experience romantic attraction but does desire a romantic relationship. So there you go. Oh my goodness. So many new definitions that I had no idea about that I am glad I have now educated myself on. I hope this video seriously shed some light for some of you, or if you're sitting there struggling to label yourself or having these questions about your attraction, you feel this way to one person but not to another, or unsure if you're sexually attracted to someone or romantically attracted. I hope this video helped. Also, real quick before I go, I would love to record an episode for my podcast, Topics of Taboo, on asexuality and aromanticism and the spectrum as a whole. So if you or anyone you know are asexual or aromantic, or any of the identities that I discussed in today's episode, then I would absolutely love to have you on. Yeah, just comment down below or send me a DM on Instagram. And if you feel comfortable with coming onto my podcast, I'd love to chat to you about it, as I cannot explain how it feels or speak from personal experience, as I haven't experienced that. So that would be fun. If you'd like to come on and chat about your own experience or a friend's experience, that'd be cool. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this seriously helped. If you think it would help a friend or family member, feel free to share it around, send them the link, all that good stuff. Give this video a thumbs up too if you enjoyed it and want more videos like this one. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!